Alright guys, so we just found a super good deal on a Moza R9 wheelbase. So usually for new, this goes about 2,000 ringgit, but this guy is selling it for 250 ringgit, which is insane. But obviously there's no wheel and there's no power supply. And the wheel itself can go up to like 2k or at least 1k brand new from Moza. And the power supply is like something you can't even buy. Literally there's no replacement parts to it. So if I wanted it, if I need a power supply, I probably have to build my own. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about how I'm gonna go about the wheel part yet, because 2k is just a bit too much to spend on a wheel, I think. But I'm just gonna go pick it up, see the condition, and we'll figure out something maybe DIY. Alright, so I got the unit back home, and now that I'm taking a better look at it, it actually looks kind of worse for wear. So the guy said that he dropped it, which I believe with all these marks over here, because these pictures were these marks were not in the original listing, so I think he just literally dropped it the moment before he passed it to me, which sucks. But I'm hoping that's cosmetic. I don't really care about the top, but the part I care about is like the quick release part is actually kind of fucked up, kind of sharp. So I'm not sure if I should be filing or sanding it down or something, but I have to buy a replacement quick release to see how it fits before I decide what to do with that. And yeah, the first part I'm going to order is actually a 36 volt 5 amp power supply. And I think what I'm going to do is just take a 6-pin PCIe, like from the computer, the spare power supply one, and then splice it onto a barrel jack 36 volt power supply. So I don't have to spend, I don't know, 200 to 300 on the official power supply. Until I get that done, I really won't be able to test if this thing is working or not. So power supply first, checks if it turns. I already have the USB cable. If it does, then I'll get the quick release and fabricate my own wheel. But at the moment, I think I'm just gonna try to clean it up with some paper towels and stuff, just to make it clean, because it does feel a little bit oily for some reason. Yeah, no wobble on the shaft, so that seems good. But yeah, other than the scratches, it seems to be perfect condition. Alright, so it's been a couple of weeks since I got the 200 baht Moza wheel, so that's again 200 ringgit, about $50. And yeah, so it was missing the power supply, so I had to fabricate my own, because buying one from Moza is gonna cost me more than I paid for that wheel. And I bought a couple stuff to do that, so I had some spare power supply cables, so you know, the 6-pin header that I need. So I'm just gonna chop off the end, so I don't need all these like SATA power, and I'm going to solder it to this 36 volt 5 amp power supply. I'm going to heat shrink the connections, and then we're going to find out if the wheel works. So if the wheel does work, and then we'll proceed to building a custom like steering wheel for it. But until that, we need to figure out a power supply solution. So the only thing I was able to find regarding the pinout for this is regarding the pinout. So online, you can see the manual, it says 36 volt 5 amps and there's 6 pins here. And there was a guy on Reddit which I measured, and he said that the top 3 is 36 volt and the bottom 3 is ground. So that's the only thing I have to go by. I did run a multimeter by it, and the bottom 3 have continuity and the top 3 have continuity. So it makes sense that like top 3 is something one rail, and then bottom 3 is one rail, but I'm just unable to figure out if the bottom 3 is actually ground, because when I check continuity with the casing, with the USB casing, everything, there's no like ground continuity. So yeah, we're just gonna have to hope for the best and hope we don't like put anything into smoke. But for now, I just have to solder, make the adapter, and then we'll see what happens. Now for anyone doing this at home, right, I actually recommend you get one of those Meanwhile power supplies, so that you can actually just screw in all the wires, because you need 3 of each, so 3 36 volt and 3 36 ground. It'll be easier to just screw it into the terminals, and you actually have more terminals to choose from. So instead of like what I have to do, where I have to, you know, chop off this connector and then solder 1 wire to 3, which is a bit more problematic, I think. And if you do something wrong, it could possibly like load the wires asymmetrically. So instead of like having 3 36 volts, it's all just running through one connector, and then it could get overloaded. But the thing is, I'm not too sure about that, so let's just You know, I've already bought this one. The reason I went with this instead of the minimal solution is I felt like it would be easier to cable manage at my desk, at my setup, instead of having like one of those like mains exposed power supplies. But we'll see how it goes, I guess, and if I regret it. So now I kind of don't want to cut. Do I? I kind of. It's either I take a multimeter to figure out which pin is where, because I need to know which one's ground, which one's 36 volts, or I just cut off the wiring and then like manually. Which one do I want to do though? Yeah, I think I'll just cut it off to be safe. I'm a bit lazy to check for continuity at this moment. Alright, this 2 is going to be ground. It's missing a piece, but I think that should be fine. And then 3 here is going to be positive 36 volts. So let's just strip it and solder. Alright, so I've done a shit soldering job, but before I seal it all up, I'm just going to test for continuity again. So the bottom 3 should be connected, and the top 2 should be connected as well. Oh, let's pray. So again, the top row should be together. Alright, nice. Alright, nice. Alright. Okay, so that suggests the soldering job should be good, and the top and bottom should not be connected, so let's just take a look at that. Oh. Yep, there we go. Perfectly isolated. Nice. Alright, so we're gonna need the multimeter later just to check for voltages again, but for now we're just gonna heat shrink everything up, and we should be good to go. Alright, now for the scariest part. We're gonna find out if it works or not. We're gonna plug in our cable. And before we plug it into the mod sub, we're gonna make sure we have the correct voltages and everything. because it's if it's wrong, we're gonna probably bullshit up. Or at least make some pretty smoke. Bottom. And then ground to the top. So we're getting there. 36.62 volts, perfect. Alright. Alright, so it potentially just saves ourselves $80 if it works. So yeah, no more delaying. I guess let's just give it a try. I got the wheelbase right here. Let's clear the area. Okay, so I guess this is it then. Wish me luck. I'm gonna get my hand on the power button over there. Oh, that doesn't sound good. I heard a pop. Oh! Alright, I'm not sure what it's supposed to be doing, so we better just go ahead and plug it into the computer with USB cable, and we'll see what's going on. Alright, so we got the drivers turned on. I don't want to show the computer screen at the moment because I want to be able to catch that if it catches fire or something. So yeah, I'll just keep it pointed here right now. But I'm installing the multi-pit house software right now. I'm really not sure what it's supposed to be doing. It's my first direct drive wheel, so yeah. It's making like clicking sounds, click, click, click. I did see online that that's something that will happen, like when it's no wheel detected. So hopefully when I, get the software installed, it can. Yeah, the cables still feel cold. Nothing's going on there, hopefully. Alright, software is running. Come on, please. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna need. So yeah, here's the software. When I turn the wheel, you can take a look. It actually works. But it's in Chinese, so I'm gonna need to Google Translate it real quick, and I'll be right back. So I've figured out the Chinese thing, but yeah. Start calibration. Let's see if it actually moves, because I haven't seen it actually moving yet. So, oh. Oh, it moved a little bit. Let's see. So now we're at wheelbase calibration. There we go. It's moving, baby. Oh my god, is this the steal of the century if it actually works? And mind you, I can't really test out the force feedback yet because I don't have the steering wheel, because I'm not gonna buy the quick release until I know this thing is working. I don't want to like sink too much money into it, but at the moment, oh yeah, baby, look at that, look at that, holy shit. Okay, let's see how they... Nope, not even warm. All right. So here's the thing. If you keep it to continuous wheel detection, right? So you hear. I'm not sure if you can hear that on camera, but it's like a clicking sound. So that's it trying to detect the wheel through these pins. But the wheel's not here, so we can just set it to automatic. Cut. And yeah, the clicking is completely gone. Nice. So yep. Not sure what else I can do right now, but alright, I guess I'm gonna have to start a game, so let's just go ahead and do that. Nothing too crazy. Let's start at like 10-20% because I don't wanna, I'm not mounting anything at the moment, so let's not go too crazy. Yeah, it keeps doing that. That's like, what the fuck is that? Is that what's wrong with it? Is that why it's so cheap? I don't know, bro. Alright. Oh my god. Let's unplug it. Well, at least I know it works, right? That's the good thing. Let's build a wheel, let's go! Alright, now that I know the Moza wheelbase is working, I'm gonna start fabricating the DIY steering wheel so that I don't have to spend like, you know, a couple $100 on the Moza ES wheel or whatever, or is it KS wheel? So yeah, the files on this is available on Thingiverse. I'll link it down below and I'll go through the assembly in much more detail later, because the guy who provided the files actually didn't provide any video instructions or what, and there's not a lot of detail that he went into on the page. But looking at the pictures and the other builds, shouldn't be too difficult. So yeah, we'll go through the build. The total printing hours should be, so this one part is going to be holding all the, you know, controllers and buttons and everything and handle it. So this one part is going to take about 24 hours, and there's quite a few parts to print. So yeah, I'll be back once everything is printed, and then we'll go through the steering wheel assembly. Alright, so this is one of the first pieces I've got off the printer. It's actually the housing for everything. So we can see the 70mm bolt pattern here to attach to the quick release once it comes. And I printed this with PLAS. So it printed beautifully, I think. Look at that. I don't know, the walls are just perfection. I've never had a print come off so clean off the printer. And yeah, 75% infill gyro it. It's a little bit too much because I also did 4 top layers and 4 bottom layers and 4 perimeters. So I think I could have gone a little bit easier on the infill, maybe even 50%. But given that this is like holding everything together and it's like a 9 Nm wheel, I guess it's kind of good that we have a very stiff, like look at that, very stiff base. This piece alone is like 200 grams. Only after it came out of the printer, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should lower the weight and infill on some of the other pieces. If not, there's going to be a lot of weight that the wheel is going to have to turn left and right. But yeah, I'm very satisfied with how it turned out. I think I got the walls to look this clean because I used the print outer walls option first. So it's like it prints the outer wall before it starts filling in inner wall. So the outer wall is going to be always perfect, not going to be affected by like extra extrusion on the inside, so the infill patterns or whatever. But yeah, this is the main piece, and you can hear the other pieces printing in the background now, which is for the magnetic shift paddles. Alright, so this is the right side grip. So previously I already printed the left side grip, but the issue with this was that I was using print outside walls before inner. So some of the parts when there's like overhangs, you can see it's like not the best finish, and that was my mistake. So for the right grip, I printed it inside walls before outside, so at least it has something to grab on. So we'll see how big of a difference that makes on the underside. Hopefully it looks a little bit better. not sure if you can see, but yeah. I think it actually looks worse. Okay, no, actually maybe yeah, better on some parts than others, but yeah, means that we're gonna have to do a little bit of filling and sanding before we put this onto the final assembly. But yep, a few more parts to go and we should be done. Alright, so the final piece of the body finally came out, and since this is going to be the top piece, I increased the number of top layers to 5, give it a better finish on top of the infill, and also enable ironing so that the whole surface is as, I don't know if you can see on camera, as clean as possible. It's so smooth to the touch, so that if I paint it or if I want to wrap it, there'll be no like artifacts or bubbles or anything. Like you literally can't even see the layer lines. I don't even know how to show it to you, but yeah, it is beautiful. There we go. You can see a little bit of it, but to the hand it's like almost smooth, man. Almost as good as printing backside down. So the reason I didn't print face side down is because my build plate is a little bit scuffed up. So you see, back is not quite perfect. So I rather have the front side facing up and just enable ironing instead. Now we have to wait for the parts, the electronics, and we can put the whole thing together. Alright, so now we're gonna need to find a 3mm. There we go, a 3mm. Why is it focusing? 3mm drill bit to widen out the hole that we're gonna need for the paddle shifters. Alright, so I've got the carbon fiber wrapped in, and again, none of the other parts are around, so I kind of just have to do things piece by piece. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap the front piece and the back piece hopefully in one like pass, and I think this one is gonna be a little bit more difficult with all these like sharp edges, but I'm just gonna try my best to like bring them in and tuck them in somewhere here, because it'll give the tighter fit to the grips as well, which was a little bit loose. And I'll leave the holes just uncut at the moment until I get all the proper screws and everything, and the ones in the front too. So I'll wrap them, and then when the actual buttons come, I'll cut a hole in it and then just put the button through to give it a nice clean look, because the buttons have like edge seal on them anyways. So yeah, today we're just gonna get the front and the edges look nice. And I'm not going to sand it down. Hopefully that's not the wrong idea, because some people do suggest to sand it down and paint it first to give it a better surface. But I think the ironing has done a good enough job, better than I could do with manual sanding, and same for the back piece. The back piece I don't really care too much, but it did print on the build plate, which was flat. And the sides seem pretty good, so you know, I don't want to risk making it worse by sanding, and my sanding skills are pretty shit, so we'll just go ahead and wrap it as is to see what it's like. But before that, of course, I'm going to clean them out a little bit, because they have been a little bit oily over the past few days. So let's get that done and see what happens. Oh yeah, so I'm also going to be using some heat from the hairdryer, but we have to be careful with that because these parts are PLA, so if we get too close to these, they might warp as well, so we have to keep that in mind when we're stretching the vinyl around the corners and everything.
Alright, so that was the first piece done. Way harder than I thought it was gonna be. But I think it turns out decent enough. It's just a little bit too curved, so I'm kinda regretting gonna have to do that, but yeah, on the back side it looks terrible, but I'm hoping I can just trim it down and then close it up and I wouldn't need to worry about it anymore. But yeah, you can kind of see the layouts where I need to put the buttons, but I'm not gonna cut it out just yet. Good enough. If I had a bit more patience, I could make it look a little bit better, but you know, it's tiring work and I'm just not really feeling it. I think it looks good enough as it is. So after a while, I just decided to trim the excess. So you see the back is now clean. I cut it right at the edges with the penknife. And I've made the holes for the screws already. For the buttons, not yet. I want to wait until I actually get the buttons. And I did the same for the back piece. So instead of like cutting it over here, I just decided to leave the edges white. So it's gonna be like carbon black, carbon white, and then carbon on the top again. Because it's like here, the curves are just too deep, especially here, where the carbon just wouldn't stick. It would kind of keep coming off, and it just looks terrible. So I think I'll just leave it like this at the moment, where it's like just the back is black and then the side is kind of like, you know, white. And the part of the problem is that now that I've put all the hex nuts inside, it kind of like, you know, pushed in and then took some of the corners with it. So yeah, not ideal, but I still think it'll look fine from a distance, especially when I'm holding the wheel. I don't think I'll be feeling or noticing any of these. So yeah, how happy am I with the end result? Hard to say, but definitely not quite what I was expecting. But given that it's my first time wrapping with vinyl, I think I'll take it. Now another test fit, now including the washers. So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. I put a washer in between here, so it fills up the gap between the grip and the top plate. And damn, now that I'm able to tighten it like real good without worrying about the plastic cracking, it is really, really solid. There's like no play in the handle whatsoever for both sides. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I'm thinking maybe I should add a washer for the bottom one as well, but yeah, on final assembly maybe I'll take another look at it. But at the moment it's feeling rock solid, dude. And then the color scheme is not too bad, so it kind of looks pretty good from a distance. You know, if you don't look at it too closely, just imagine these grips are going to be black in the end once I wrap it up with the grip tape. And yep, that is the current status. Alright, right now this is printing the parts for the magnetic shifter, and all the parts are actually from AM Studio, so he provided these files for free on his website. And yeah, it takes only about 2 hours to print all these parts at one go, every 5 pieces, 2 hours. And I need to do 2 sets because there's 2 shifters. But yeah, actually should be the easiest part of the build, I think. For the pedals, actual pedal itself, you can see it's a little bit short, so I might search online for any like metal ones that I can replace it with, because it just screws on. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes with the plastic ones first and decide from there. Alright, slight problem. One of the first few electronic components finally came in, and it was these micro Leo switches. And I noticed that I bought the wrong size, so I was supposed to get KW10s. I think these are KW12 or 11s or something. I honestly have no idea. KW12. So this is like KW12, I need KW10. And the switches were supposed to fit like right in this rectangle. Not only were they supposed to fit like inside it, their whole like height was supposed to be the same height as the thickness of this. So yeah, now it's kind of like double the thickness. So instead of buying a new switch, one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and remodel this piece, increase the size of that hole, and double this thickness. So yeah, I'm going to be adding a little bit of thickness to the overall shifting mechanism, but you know, I don't want to waste these switches, and they feel really good too. So I think I'm just going to keep with that. Means that I'm going to have to reprint 2 pieces, and shit, hopefully the screws are still going to be long enough, because these need to be like a sandwich. Yeah, hopefully the M30 screws are still going to be long enough to go through or through them all. If not, I'm going to have to figure something else out there as well. Alright, so because I've got the wrong parts for the micro switch, we're going to have to do some measurements so that we can modify this little piece in Fusion and print a custom sized one. So let's just look at how big it's supposed to be. Alright, so here's the new printed piece. This is the original one where we're supposed to use the K10 switch, KW10 switch. And he intended for you to just push it in and hot glue it from the side, which I didn't exactly like. So when I was designing the new piece to fit my bigger switches, I just decided to put in some screw holes as well that match along with these. So now what we're going to do is figure out if it actually fits or not. Seems like, yep, seems like it's gonna work. So yeah, these are gonna have to go all the way in. Maybe I have to clean up the file a little bit, and yeah, I just have to print one more and it should be good. Alright, so the push buttons finally came in. Just momentary push buttons. You can hear the noise of the other piece printing in the background. So this is the one I made another one of. So where the original one was too small to fit the wrong switch that we bought. So I designed a thicker piece that can accommodate the bigger switch completely flush and also have like screw holes to put through. But you know, honestly, the fit is so tight that I don't think I might not need any screws or anything. So yeah, this piece turned out amazing. Now I just need to wait for the magnets to be able to finish up the shifters. In the meantime, we're going to install these push buttons to hopefully make this front plate look a little bit better. So what we need to do is just cut out these holes for the vinyl. And then we need to put the locking nuts in the printed slots at the back and just tighten them in. And yeah, let's see how that goes. Oh yeah, so this would be easier with an X-Acto knife, but all I've got is a pen knife at the moment, so you know, I got to work with what I got. So here it is with the buttons installed, so that's 10 buttons, and I think it just looks amazing. Yep, so I've got, now instead of just washers on the middle here, I've put washers down in the bottom here too, so that I'm really able to like tighten down the screws, and damn, it does feel solid, no wobble, no nothing. Legit. As solid as can be. And yeah, I'm waiting for some final parts to print. And then once that's done, we can assemble the magnetic shifters, do some soldering for the USB control board, and here's the wheel. The buttons sound amazing though, honestly, listen. They feel really high quality. Just, I'm worried about these ones here being a little bit out of reach. But since this is the, you know, up, left, right, up, left, no, is it? Up, left, right, down, yeah, I think so. So these are the direction buttons and these are like the function buttons. So yeah, maybe this won't be used as often in game. So ideally it'll be these ones that I can easily reach. But yep, another day closer to finishing the wheel. The quick release and the magnets, but the problem now is that so the mounting holes you see here is supposed to go on the back here, and I'm not sure if it's gonna interfere with the magnetic shift pedals. So these go about here. Yeah, it might be very close. I'm not quite sure. I don't think there's gonna be space, but there's only one way to find out, because I need to finish building these with the magnets and everything. And yeah, we'll find out. Alright, so the wheel is currently done in its prototype phase, I guess. A few things I need to figure out, but it's usable. Hopefully, I'm gonna test it out in a bit. And it's the one thing that really stands out is that it's really heavy, especially with the quick release and all the electronics included. And yeah, a few problems is that the main thing being the quick release being way too big, so the shift pedals are like a bit out. You see here, these were supposed to be all the way in so that it gives you more space for your hands, but now I have to shift them out a little bit. I'll see how that feels. If I really don't like it, I can print a spacer for this or just redesign the shifter. It's quite simple. And another problem is that here, so because I have to relocate the shift pedals, right, and because the screws are a little bit too long, if I screw this in all the way, it will collide with the shift pedal housing. So instead I just use a washer here to extend it and still give the grip something to tighten onto. So this can be fixed by either when I fix this or just getting a 25mm screw instead of 30mm screw. And the other issue is that, yeah, I can't tighten the top two screws here because the wiring actually, if you look inside, it actually is blocked by some of the internal wiring. So I'm not going to worry about that too much now. But yeah, we'll give it a try in a bit. But look at how it feels amazing, like really solid, and the shifts. We have to assemble the whole thing and see how it feels. So here, we've plugged it in via USB. I'm not going to be able to test it on the wheel itself yet because my USB hub and extender cable hasn't arrived yet. So yeah, I'm just have to plug it in now, and when I want to put it on the wheel, I'm going to have to unplug it and just use it without buttons first. But yeah, I've got the control panel for the buttons up, and yeah, we're gonna find out if all 12 buttons work. So it should light up. There we go. Nice. So I've wired it up like 1, 2, 3, 4 in sequentially. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. So all the buttons work. The wire soldering was perfect. And now we've got the shifter pedals. That's 11. And that's 12. So yep, the wheel is working as intended. Oh my god, that is a very satisfying magnetic shift pedals. So now yeah, let's test it on the wheelbase. And there you go, boys, it works. It fucking works. So because I don't have the USB hub, I can't set things up properly yet. I can't use the shifters and buttons, so I have to raise and shift with this. But yeah, it fucking works. The force feedback is so much smoother than the T150, and yeah, I have it on very low feedback now because I was just testing whether it's working. But damn, I can't wait to get it. Can't wait to get it like properly set up and everything. But yeah, it is pretty crazy. Alright, so initial impressions from playing around for a little bit. I'm playing around like 70% force feedback, I think, and it feels, holy shit, it feels damn good. Yeah, initial things is I'm gonna have to get proper length screws so that I can tighten these down, because at the moment you can see, because of the wrong length, there's actually a huge gap, and I'm worried about the strength of this when I'm actually playing. Another thing is that, damn, this wheel is like actually really solid, so there's like no flex coming from here to the shaft and the quick release as well. So it's like all this flex is coming from the wheelbase mount. So the problem now is that the rig itself, for like this part, because there's just so much leverage from the front to the back of the wheelbase that the whole piece here is shaking. But the wheel itself, damn, the wheel itself is rock solid, dude. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait for some final parts to come in, and give my final thoughts when the whole thing is properly set up. Alright, so I've just been giving the wheel a try, and what a difference the rubber grips make. Because I've been playing in VR, the only thing I'm feeling is the grips. So with the proper grip tape, it feels like I kind of feel like it's a 3D printed wheel. It feels absolutely solid, and the shifting, it feels amazing too. Because I'm only feeling the backside, which was printed face side down, so it feels perfectly smooth to me, and the shifting just feels top notch. And yeah, all the buttons are working, and now that we have the proper length screws and everything, I got rid of the extra washers, and I think it's just absolutely solid, man. In terms of the wheel at least, and the grips, yeah, make all the difference in the world. So when I'm turning, I feel like I can put more force into it. And yeah, so let's just take a look at that. I've got the USB cable out the hole over there. Yep, no problems so far with the cable. And yep, quick release is solid. Everything is just absolutely solid. So I wired everything up through a USB hub. So I've got the pedals, the wheel, and the steering wheel. Alright guys, so here we have the final build of the DIY F1 slash GT3 steering wheel. Fully 3D printed enclosure, and only the electronics and the quick release store-bought. And yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback after my couple sessions racing with it on the Moza R9, and damn, it holds up extremely well. So even on with the direct drive, but I'm only playing about 70% force feedback. Any higher, I think it's a bit too much for me. I'm not sure about the wheel, but honestly, after getting all the proper screws and washers in place, and with the grips especially, it just feels so good to race with. Like no flex at all when I'm twisting like the grips here, especially the connection from the quick release back to the plastic housing. There's no flex there whatsoever, and the shifters have no flex, no play. It feels extremely good as well. Like these pieces here, no flex. Up in the pedals themselves, they're just rock solid. So yeah, the buttons. Yeah, the only thing with the problem I have is that I think I'm lacking some buttons, because 4 of it's already taken up to be the direction buttons of up, down, left, and right. It's just I programmed them too. So what I might do in the future is that, because this top plate, I can just 3D print a new one. I might add a D-pad somewhere to free up these 4 buttons for extra functionality. So maybe a D-pad here, and a joystick here or something. Because the USB input board does support D-pads and analog sticks, so maybe I'll go for that. Alright, so one final mod is just to wrap the USB cable around something small. So this is the only rod I could find around that's about the right diameter. So yeah, we wrap it around tight, tie off the ends, and then after that I use a hair dryer to heat it up all the way around, so that once it cools, like after half a day, I take it off. I'll have a coiled USB cable, which makes just everything a little bit neater while I'm racing, so the cable is not dangling between my legs, which I'll show once I take it off. Alright, so this is the end result after the USB coiling that I showed previously, and yeah, I really liked how it turned out. And hopefully when I'm racing, it's not as annoying, you know, because it goes directly to the USB hub instead of dangling down beneath my feet or whatever. So yeah, it kind of looks like a proper GT steering wheel now.